What's up, everyone? This is Elliott Connie, and for over 15 years, I've helped hundreds of thousands of counselors support their clients in finding solutions for their everyday lives, and worked with tens of thousands of clients on my own. And today I want to welcome you back to the aha moments where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. And today I want to talk to you about something that I think is really important, something that, in the field of psychotherapy, the field in which I function, people talk a lot about, but I actually think they misunderstand it. And as a consequence, the way they talk about it actually frustrates me and causes me some confusion. And that idea is like self-love and self-appreciation. And in my field, we talk about it as self-care. And self-care is like, I have a job and I work that job. And then you see people post on social media self-care and they're at a bar hanging out with friends, or self-care and they're walking along a beach, or self-care is like taking a break from life and doing something else. And I actually don't think that's what self-care is. So for me, self-care and self-love and self-appreciation is keeping yourself in environments that are good for you. In essence, my goal was I wanted to build a life that was so full of love, joy, excitement, and appreciation that I didn't need a break from it. Self-love is putting yourself in environments that are inherently good for you and doing the things that are healthiest for you. And I'll give you an example. I think a lot of times we make decisions that are based upon money and status and things to achieve. But there are times where that gets you into trouble. In fact, I would say most times that gets you into trouble. One of the people that taught me in an early stage of my life how important it was to make choices based upon what is good for you and what is healthy and what fits right for you, and not necessarily money and status and prestige and all that stuff, was the high school janitor in the school where I went. He started being a janitor because he wanted to be closer to his granddaughter, and he wanted to make sure that his granddaughter could go to a good, clean school. So he decided to apply for the job that would ensure that he was the one cleaning it. And that wasn't a decision made based upon finance or prestige or status. That was a decision based upon who he wanted to be as a granddad and the type of relationship he wanted to have with his granddaughter. As I've lived my life and as I've grown and evolved and grown up, the happiest, healthiest, people with most satisfying lives that I've come across are the ones who make decisions based upon what's good for them. And they keep themselves in environments that are healthy and happy for them. A really close friend of mine, he is one of the most successful business people in the world. And he has a thing on his schedule called Ski Fridays. He skis every Friday, no matter what. It is in his schedule. It is unmovable. It is one of the most important things. He will miss meetings with very important people to make sure he participates in Ski Friday. And he describes this as one of the most important parts of his life because he wants to be someone that skis every week. He said to me one time, he said, "Elliot, in order for me to be happy, I have to be out in nature and have to be moved out. My body has to be moving and have to be out in nature." So self-care for him, it isn't a battle of building a life that fit for who he is and who he wants to be and what is good and right for him. And that's the thing that works for Jeff. His name is Jeff. That's the thing that works for Jeff, is to keep himself in environments that are happy and healthy for him. And I think so often we choose roles and we choose environments and we choose things that may not be good for us, and we tolerate them and we put up with them. But if there's one thing I want to tell people is you only have one life. That is all you get, is one life. You are only here for this one moment at this one time. So try to do things that are fun, exciting, invigorating. Try to do things that light you up and inspire others and inspire you and keep you at your best. That's what we should do with our time here. So I want you to just give some thought to the person you are and the person you want to be. And I want you to make a list of 10 things that you need to continue doing in order to stay at your very best. Hey, thank you so much for being here today. Please do me a huge favor and share this podcast on your social media platforms, or with at least one person that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast. You can do that at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. What's up, everyone? This is Elliott Connie, and for over 15 years, I've helped hundreds of thousands of counselors support their clients in finding solutions for their everyday lives, and worked with tens of thousands of clients on my own. And today I want to welcome you back to the aha moments where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. And today I want to continue talking to you about persistence and the importance of persistence. And I'm going to share with you what has been how persistence has changed my life and what helped me solidify the importance of persistence as an entity or as an achievement attitude. Let me just tell you straight up, the thing in my life that has changed my life the most is persistence. And the best example of that is me as a leader in business and me in the professional space in which I occupy. Because oftentimes people will see my life and they see prominent I am in certain areas, and they'll see me on stages and they will ask me, how do you do those things? And there are two different answers to that. There's a pragmatic answer. So how did I write books? Well, I went to the store and I bought a book on how to write book proposals. I had a book idea, so I wrote a book proposal for that book idea, got it published, blah, blah, blah. But then there's a mindset answer. And the mental answer is persistence. When I came to the field of psychotherapy, surprisingly, I met a bunch of racism. And I say surprisingly because I didn't expect it. I can remember way back then thinking, we're all about the same. We have about the same education level, the same level of degree, the same level of aspirations. We all want to help people. And I was shocked when I learned about the racism going on in the field and back channel conversations of people saying not to let Elliott Connie do this and not to let Elliott Connie do that. And the people were working together to hold me back. And it motivated me. It pissed me off and it pushed me. And I became shockingly persistent. And what I mean by persistent is doing something every day, pushing myself in the direction of the achievement of my goals, regardless of the entities or people that wanted to stop me. I persisted. And eventually, I published that first book. And eventually, I started becoming someone that people would ask to come give lectures all around the world. And ultimately, I became the most recognized name in the field of solution-focused brief therapy. But it's because I refused to stop. If there's anything I want to invite you to do, it's to refuse to stop. As a consequence of that attitude and going through those hard things and continuing to push, I currently lead the biggest brand in the field of solution-focused brief therapy. We literally do 7 figures of revenue a year training people to do solution-focused brief therapy better and more effectively. As a consequence of that, think how many counselors I impact and my team impacts and how many clients they see. The ripple effect from this work is significant and makes a difference to literally millions of people. But you have to decide, I'm just not going to quit. You have to decide, I'm just not going to stop putting one foot in front of the other. And every obstacle that lands in front of me, I'm going to step over it, I'm going to step through it, I'm going to step around it, but I have simply decided I am not going to stop. You have to make that mental commitment that no matter what happens, because I know I'm in pursuit of something meaningful, I am simply not going to stop. One of the things that I want everyone who can hear my voice to know is that the greatest thing you can do when you're achieving a goal is to decide that you're just not going to stop. And the good news is that is completely within your control. Not everything on the path to success is in your control, right? A lot of people in my industry were working on some really cool things, and then the pandemic happened, and it literally ended their business and ended their pursuits, right? Not everything is in our control. We couldn't control whether or not a pandemic could happen or not. But I can make the decision full on that no matter what happens, I am going to keep going because what I'm pursuing is meaningful and it matters and it's important and I am unstoppable. And I want every listener right now to just say out loud, literally, I am unstoppable, and make the commitment that I am going to pursue meaningful goals with a level of persistence that would shock people, with a level of unstoppableness that sometimes big aims take. Listen, how about this? Write down 3 things that you can achieve if you simply implement this mindset of I'm going to be unstoppable, and elaborate on each one of those things, on the difference it would make in your life once you accomplish those things. Thanks so much for being here today. If you wouldn't mind, do me a super huge favor and share this podcast on your social media platform, and share it with at least one person you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And don't forget to head on over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast, and be sure to subscribe. Also rate the podcast, leave a comment. I love hearing what you guys think, and I'll see you tomorrow. What's up, everyone? This is Elliott Connie, and for over 15 years I've helped hundreds of thousands of counselors support their clients in finding solutions for their everyday lives, and worked with tens of thousands of clients on my own. And today I want to welcome you back to the aha moments where every day I share the lessons that I've learned in my work and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. And today I want to talk to you about probably one of the biggest inspirations in my life, and probably the greatest example that I know of the importance of being persistent and putting persistence into your daily life, and the role that being persistent can play in you achieving your dreams. So I have a very good friend. His name is Bill O'Hanlon. Bill and I met several years ago. I actually hired Bill to come give a lecture at a conference I was hosting. He, at the time, was the most recognized psychotherapist and lecturer in our field. He had written tons and tons of books. He'd been on Oprah. He had been on several kind of talk shows. I mean, he was and is a big deal. Bill O'Hanlon was the guy in the field of psychotherapy at the time, and I hired him to do an event for me. I think it's fair to say we immediately got along. Like, I remember picking him up at the airport, and I was driving super carefully, and he asked me if I normally drive like that, and I said no. And he said, be you, drive how you normally drive. So I started driving a bit crazier, taking him from the airport to his hotel. And that's the story of Bill and I meeting and becoming friends. Now, over the years, he's become a very good friend. He has mentored me through situations, been there, done that, all the things that I do. So he's been a great source of information for me. But he's also been a great source of inspiration, because Bill is also a man who lives his life in pursuit of his dreams. You know, maybe even more so than the amazing amount of professional success that Bill had in the field of psychotherapy. Bill, he would often describe himself as a hippie. And I think a dream he had always had along the way, even if he didn't really share it publicly, was the dream of becoming a professional songwriter. So Bill eventually retires. I always tell Bill the only thing he's really terrible at is retirement. Because Bill retired, he starts pursuing this lifelong dream of being a professional songwriter. So he moves to Nashville and he starts writing songs. But he writes songs the way Bill O'Hanlon would write songs. He writes songs in all kinds of genres, but he writes like 2 to 3 songs per day. And he joins songwriting groups. And he takes songwriting classes. He ultimately starts writing songwriting books to the point where Bill has now achieved that aim, and he's a professional songwriter. He has been paid to write songs. His songs have appeared on television shows. Bill O'Hanlon used persistence to accomplish his dream. You know, I think about Bill. Bill's lived many lifetimes in his one life. But I think the key skill that Bill has, and he has a lot of skills, is his ability to demonstrate the importance of persistence, because it's something that he exudes in everything that he does. Bill didn't just write one book. I think his current tally is up over 40 books. And when Bill was at the top of his game as a psychotherapy lecturer, Bill didn't just do one lecture. He constantly was giving lectures, constantly on the road inspiring a field, constantly touching people's lives. He's also one of the kindest, most generous people that I know. I call Bill with my questions and he answers my questions. But what he does in pursuit of his dreams is the lesson I want all of you to take away. And that is he persistently pursues them. Meaning he does something every single day. If you want to be a songwriter, it means you have to write songs. If you're going to write songs, then you might as well get on with it. And Bill writes 1 to 2 songs every single day. Last year, he wrote some abnormal, crazy amount of songs with this group that he writes with. I think it's like 500 songs or something crazy. But without that, he wouldn't have accomplished his dream of being a professional songwriter. And to me, Bill is a professional accomplisher of dreams. I'm so honored to have him as a friend, and I hope you guys would all take that lesson and understand the importance of being persistent as you pursue the meaningful goals and aims you have in your life. So I want you to think about what goals and dreams you're working on. What's one task you can do each day to make sure you're moving your life in the direction of those goals? Thank you so much for being here today. If you wouldn't mind, please do me a huge favor and share this podcast on your social media platform or with at least one person that you think could benefit from my message about Bill O'Hanlon today. And don't forget to subscribe. So head on over to Apple Podcasts or wherever it is that you listen to your podcast. And I can't wait to see you tomorrow. What's up, everyone? This is Elliott Connie. And for over 15 years, I've helped thousands of counselors support their clients in finding solutions for their everyday lives and worked with thousands of clients on my own. And today I want to welcome you back to the aha moments where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. And today I'm going to continue talking to you about persistence. And I want to give you an example about a lesson I learned early on in my life. I was still a young person at the time. It was somebody in the pop culture world. It was a really, really important lesson to me. But before I get to that, I want to tell you why it mattered to me. And then I'll talk to you about who this celebrity was and how I learned about them and the way it impacted me. At the time, I was working towards getting a bachelor's degree. I was in school and I had come from a background where getting a bachelor's degree was kind of a big deal. Not a lot of people around me were doing these things, and I'd come from a place where I was really struggling with some mental health issues at the time. Part of any successful endeavor is understanding that you have to work hard to achieve it. Like, nothing is given to us. Nothing is handed to us. And whenever you're working hard, you have to be able to manage the challenges that you're going to encounter and failures along the way. And I think that's what really makes persistence so important. And that's what really stands out about persistence is being able to deal with failure, being able to deal with challenges and yet keep going. I had failures and I had challenges, but I had to keep going. And in order to successfully acquire my bachelor's degree, I had to really lock in and focus and be able to deal with the challenges that were ahead of me, and knowing that it would lead me to a desired outcome, knowing it would get me to where I was going. Now, let's get to the person that inspired me and the example of persistence I had right in front of me. It was a rapper by the name of Ludacris. Now, a lot of you might know Ludacris because he has become really successful as an actor, and he plays a role in the Fast and Furious franchise. I think they're up to 9 movies. The last movie was Fast and Furious 9, and Ludacris is one of the main characters in that movie series. But in the late 90s, he was known for his rap career. It seemed like he just came out of nowhere. Every time you turned on the radio, there was a different Ludacris song or a song that featured Ludacris. And one day he was doing an interview about his ascension to the top of the rap industry and how successful he was. And he said something that I needed to hear at the time. He said, "It seems to a lot of people like my success was overnight, or I just kind of sprang onto the scene. But the truth is, I've been working to be a successful rapper for about a decade." And he used a metaphor. He said it was like I was pushing on a wall that wouldn't move. He was like I was pushing and pushing and pushing on this wall, and it wouldn't move. And then one day, all of a sudden, it starts moving. And the more I pushed it, the more it moved. And he said the key to any success is to push on the unmovable wall without giving up, because then eventually the wall starts moving. And I remember hearing that and just thinking, okay, I got to keep pushing on this academic wall. I got to keep pushing and make sure every semester I take more classes, make sure every semester I commit to the process, and make sure every semester I take on the challenge in front of me. Because eventually, if you push on the unmovable wall, it will start moving. And that's an incredible trait in pursuing a goal, is like, because what he's really saying is to continue pursuit of the goal without feedback, right? To continue pursuit of the goal without encouragement, to continue pursuit of the goal without any response from the universe that it's working. You push on it because you're passionate about what you want. You push on it because you're desirous about what you want. You push on it because you need what you want. You're so driven to have it. You just keep pushing. Thankfully, I learned that lesson and I continued pushing towards my degree. I continued pushing towards my career and ultimately got multiple degrees and have achieved some professional success and all those things. I would experience the same thing that Ludacris said. You push on the wall until it starts moving. So I want to invite all of you listeners to think about the walls that you could push on. Think about the things that you could do to keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing until you achieve your aims. Thanks so much for being here today, everyone. If you wouldn't mind, do me a huge favor and share this podcast on your social media platforms or with at least one person that you think it could make a difference for in their lives. And don't forget to subscribe. Head on over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast and subscribe, rate, leave feedback, leave comments. I love hearing what you guys think, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. What's up, everyone? This is Elliott Connie. And for over 15 years, I've helped hundreds of thousands of counselors support their clients in finding solutions for their everyday lives and worked with tens of thousands of clients on my own. And today I want to welcome you back to the aha moments where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. Today I want to talk to you about you. Today I want to talk to you about your goals. I want to talk to you about your dreams. I want to make sure that you can go after and achieve all of your biggest aims and dreams. And I'm going to give you the harsh reality, and I'm going to tell you the truth. And the truth is, the thing that holds us back is we are too hesitant to take the chances. We are too hesitant to deal with the challenges. We are too fearful to deal with the disappointments and the failures that lay ahead. If you want to succeed and achieve your goals, you have to be willing to risk everything. One of my favorite movies, I'm the type of guy that I'll go to a movie and I'll get goosebumps and inspired, and I walk out of that theater on fire. And one day I was watching a movie called Creed. And Creed is a boxing movie in the Rocky series. And in this movie, the main character, this guy named Adonis Creed, he had to fight this opponent. He was fearful of fighting this opponent because in the previous match against this exact same opponent, he got hurt really, really bad. He got broken ribs or whatever happened in the movie. And then he got Rocky's help. And Rocky was training him for a rematch to fight this same guy that had just beaten him really, really difficultly. And he said to him, it's not really about learning boxing. You have to be willing to take pain. In order to give pain, you have to put yourself in position to take pain. And sometimes people ask me all the time, like, Elliott, how did you achieve the things that you achieved? Like, I've become the leader of an industry and I have this 7-figure training organization, all of the things that I do. But people don't want to hear about the struggle. They don't want to hear about the times where I couldn't sleep at night because I was so worried about finances. They don't want to hear about the times when I was dreaming bigger than I could see and I was working towards goals, almost like psychopathically believing that they were true. They don't want to hear about that. They want me to tell them all kind of rosy, positive things, that it's really, really easy, and if you just meditate and if you just do these things, it'll happen for you. But that's just not true. You have to pursue your goal with almost like a psychotic belief that it can become true. And you have to put yourself at risk of disappointment. You have to put yourself at risk of failure. If you don't do that, you do not deserve success. I watched an interview where Will Smith described the universe as an algorithm that wants to give you what you want if you're willing to do the things necessary. And what if I told you that one of the things necessary is put yourself at risk of dealing with failure and disappointment? What if I told you that one of the things you had to do was put yourself at risk of failing? What if I told you that one of the things you have to do in order to become successful is put yourself at risk of falling down? Once you do that, then you are availed to the rewards of high risk. I don't know anyone, literally no one, not one single example ever of a successful person that did not put themselves at risk of high levels of failure. Because think about this, the level of failure you risk is synonymous with the level of success you can achieve. The bigger the risk, the bigger the disappointment you make yourself at risk of, then that's how big the success you put yourself in line of. So if you want to be successful, stop asking people like, what are the steps to success? And start understanding that success is on the other side of bravery. Success is on the other side of courage. Success is on the other side of your ability to be uncomfortable and put yourself at risk of failure. Because what happens is you learn that you're stronger than you thought. You're more capable than you believed, and your outcome is more within your reach than you could possibly think. So what I want you guys to do is literally take a seat. I want you to sit down and think, what is the biggest goal and dream I possibly have for myself? And then I want you to start taking actions that make that goal or dream your reality and find excuses to keep pursuing it.
Find excuses to keep going, and then one day you'll be shocked when you achieve it. That's the lesson I want you to get from today. That's what I want you to do more than anything else, and I promise you it's going to make a huge difference in the way you live your life, and the way you think about yourself, and everything that happens to you from here on after. So thank you so much for being here today. Please share this podcast with at least one person that you think could benefit from hearing this message, and share this on your social media. It would make a huge difference to me, and I'd really appreciate it. And don't forget to head on over to where you listen to podcasts and rate this podcast, leave feedback for this podcast, and also subscribe. And I will see you Monday.